Kuh.
181 for the moment. As I run, the two red ants continue chasing after me. I assume that they also know that they don't have a chance of winning, yet they don't let up. Ant societies seem much more tougher than human societies. Because of that, the way I imagine it, there's nothing unusual about being told to go die in a suicide attack. Well, if they do start running away, I'd just go on the offensive next. Currently, I'm retreating through the air because I want to maintain a favorable distance, although I don't actually want to run away. If they try to escape, then I will chase and completely annihilate them with the Kemaitashi. Maybe the red ants understand that, and that's why they're still chasing me. For these guys, I guess it's not possible for them to disperse and escape. Eventually, they'll just return to their nest and meet up there. I decelerate to provoke the red ants and continue retreating. Now that they can barely use clay gun to shoot at me anymore, they probably want to take this battle into close combat. Therefore, I decelerate. From the red ants' perspective, this must look like the last good opportunity they'll have. The red ants take the bait and speed up. I bet they're thinking of pouncing on me now that I've left an opening by slowing down. I decelerate even further and continue to shorten the distance between me and the red ants. They won't be able to avoid it at this range. I'll kill one of them with a single shot of a Kemaitashi. I shoot a single Kemaitashi towards the red ant that's closest to me.
Kucha.
The red ant, which is hurriedly running towards me, gets struck by the sharp wind attack head-on. Its severed legs scatter and the red ant stops moving. Because of inertia, the red ant's body continues to hurtle forward and literally grinds to a halt on its stomach. Obtained 400 experience points. Title skill, Walking Egg LV- activated, 400 bonus points obtained. Level of Evil Plague Dragon has increased from 60 to 61. The last remaining ant comes diving towards me. Now it's one-on-one, I can hardly lose with a single red ant as my opponent. I twist my body away, avoiding its bite attack. The red ant's defenseless head is presented right in front of me.
Ooh, don't mind if I do.
I extend my arm out as far as it will go and perform a large swing. Riding on the angular momentum of my arm, my claws hit the red ant directly in the neck. With a slapping sound, the red ant's head flies. Obtained 416 experience points. Title skill, Walking Egg, LV- activated, 416 bonus points obtained. Level of Evil Plague Dragon has increased from 61 to 62. With a plop, the red ant's head falls to the ground behind me. After the sound passes, the ant's body collapses to the sand beneath it. Level of Normal skill, Neck Breaker, has increased from 3 to 4. Alright, my skill level also increased. With this, all 4 of them are dead. Finally level 62, huh? At this rate, it's going to take about 20 more ants until I'm able to evolve. When I evolve, I wonder if I'll still be able to fit in the ant's nest. I don't know to what extent my size will change, but couldn't it become too cramped for my physique? Geez, to think I overlooked this. Well, is this alright? No, how would it be? Just in case, I'll prepare for the worst. I'll absolutely prevent myself from evolving inside of the ant's nest. If I make one wrong move, I may end up having no choice but to spend the rest of my life in there. I think I will be fine since there's probably a selection system in place for my next evolution. But even so, I don't want to have to be restricted to choosing an evolution based on size and end up as something weak and pitiful. Thinking about this isn't going to help until I can actually take a look at the evolution list, though. Now then, time to go get the red ant that is pinned underneath the big scissor. This time, I'm going with the centipede dumplings as my main strategy, rather than just raising my level. I follow the path I took while fleeing, now using roll. It's going to save me a lot of trouble if it's still pinned. Once the big scissor comes into view, I cancel roll. Beneath the big scissor is the red ant, flailing its legs.
Kuka. Kucha. That's good.
It hasn't been able to free itself yet. It chitters energetically. I circle around behind it and quickly lift up the big scissor. Kuchi. Relieved, the red ant looks back at me.
Gwa.
Too bad for you. It's not a fellow red ant.
It's me. Kucha?
The red ant retreats back as if frightened. I follow the movements of the red ant, making sure to keep my distance. I strike at it lightly.
Gucci-ai?
Using my wings, I fly around so I'm behind the red ant. Grabbing onto its back, I grind it against the ground while continuing to use flight. Guka-ka-chicha-ka-chicha-ka-cha. It's cruel, but it has to be done. Ants spread pheromones to remember the path they took. If I fly while carrying it, it's possible that it may not know how to return to its nest. If I grind it against the ground like this, then the scent should remain. Because of the low altitude and the support from below, the burden on my wings is small. I continue dragging the red ant as is and return to the pile of centipede dumplings. I hurl the red ant into the hollowed-out carapace of the large centipede. Leaving it as it is, I land and use roll to retreat. I stop midway and observe the red ant's movements from a distance. After the red ant gets up, it repeatedly moves its legs and twists its body. It seems that it's checking to make sure that its body can move normally. It was dragged quite a considerable distance. Honestly, it's a miracle that it didn't lose any of its legs. After that, the red ant approaches the centipede dumplings. Pressing its antennae against them, it tilts its head. What, is it no good? No, it seems to be good. It might unexpectedly find them edible. I would not want to bite into them again, but there are people who are into things like that. Take it, just take it please. I'm relying on you alone. The red ant holds the centipede dumpling in its mouth, quickly lifting its head up. Yes, victory. The red ant goes back the way it came. For now, I feel relieved. The strategy to get them to carry the dumplings back is a success. Level of title skill Mean King has increased from 4 to 5. Right as I'm close to evolving, I get something unpleasant. Well, I was pretty much prepared for this. I'll have to offset it by increasing the level of rest later. 182 escort. With the red ant carrying the centipede dumpling back to its nest, I stealthily follow it. For now, I need to see whether that red ant can safely carry the centipede dumpling back or not. Even though a red ant is fairly strong even on its own, this one is right now considerably weakened. If another monster attacks and kills it while it's in the middle of its journey, then all of this work up till now will go up in smoke. It's a strange party composition, but I must make sure that it's properly escorted to the nest. However, watching the ant so arduously carry the centipede dumpling, it's starting to unintentionally sway my emotions. That red ant, to think that it's trying its hardest to carry that centipede dumpling for the sake of its colony. Discovering that pile of centipede dumplings must have been such a great achievement that it might have potentially raised its spirits. I shake my head and wipe that thought out of my mind. Pointless, it's pointless. The dumpling has to be carried back by the red ant if I am to continue leveling. If this plan fails, I probably won't be able to win against that hero. If I'm to level up quickly and efficiently in this desert, then there really isn't any other option other than to destroy the red ant's nest. The giant centipede is gone, and hunting around for large slug-class monsters would be a painstaking effort. It's a terrible thing to say, but with each red ant being in the same class as a large slug, they're exceptionally good for leveling. That red ant. Is it just me or is it moving a little strangely? Just as I thought that, the red ant collapses and drops the centipede dumpling from its mouth. Hey, are you alright? Legs? Is it possible that your legs are broken? The red ant quickly rises and picks the centipede dumpling back up again. Although I feel relieved, I can't shake my anxiety. What's that guy's status right now? Species, red ogre ant. Status, bloodshed. LV, 24/55. HP, 33/226. Mepe, shaizechi no. Of course, its HP is in an awful shape. As it is, even without being attacked by a monster, it may still die en route to the nest. I quickly approach the red ant. The red ant drops the centipede dumpling on the ground and threatens me with its open mouth.
Kucha. Kuka.
Barking at me, it seems to hold a grudge against me from when I dragged it a little while ago.
Gwa.
I use rest, recovering the red ant's HP.
Kucha. There, once more. Again, one more time.
Light envelopes the red ant's body. Species, red ogre ant. Status, normal. LV, 24/55. HP, 95/226.
Mepe, shaizechi no. Yeah, it should be fine now.
However, the effect is weak as usual. My magical power should be quite high though? Come to think of it, is the title skill, Path of Evil, decreasing the effect of recovery magic? I wonder if my species is a problem as well? The red ant seems to be looking at me suspiciously. I use roll and withdraw to once again put some distance between us. It's possible that it might discard the centipede dumpling if it gets too wary. From the red ant's perspective, as soon as I got close to it I used recovery magic and then left at what must have been a tremendous speed. And before that, it was attacked while carrying the big scissor, dragged, and then hurled into a pile of centipede dumplings. From the red ant's point of view, am I not at the level of a suspicious person? Depending on its intelligence, it may or may not be capable of being suspicious of someone else's motives. However, in that regard it made off like an ordinary insect and once again resumed carrying the centipede dumpling as if nothing had happened. Good, I'm glad that it's just an ant. I guess it can't win against instinct. If it was the red monkeys or the black lizard, I would have been exposed by now. As I continue to stalk it stealthily, my present sense skill tips me off to something lurking nearby. Something is lurking under the ground directly in front of the path of the red ant. Furthermore, it's obvious that the creature burrowed in the ground has noticed the ant. As the red ant approaches near the spot where the creature is burrowed, I can sense a strong magical power starting to emanate from the creature. The underground creature is most definitely about to start something. The red ant has not noticed a thing. For me, I must make sure that the red ant carries that centipede dumpling back. I'd like to cut around from the opposite side to change the ant's course, but it's too far away for me to make it in time. For now, I need to be able to respond to anything that happens. I shorten the distance between me and the red ant straight away. I chase after the red ant with all I've got, but the red ant realizes that I'm pursuing it and starts running faster. You mustn't go that way. I'm trying to protect you. Even though my motives are dishonest. The moment the red ant is directly above the mysterious presence, the ground caves in beneath it. The hole that suddenly appeared quickly continues to expand until it has enough space to fit 3 of me. The red ant tumbles and falls down the side of the crater. In the center of the hole lies a giant insect. It's about 1 size larger than the red ant and about 1 size smaller than me. About 3 meters or so? It has a sandy color similar to the giant centipedes and possesses 2 long mandibles. Something similar to bristly hair covers its entire body and it has 2 beady black eyes. The shape of this trap and that insect's appearance, that's an antlion larva. The antlion larva extends its neck and loudly snaps its mandibles while waiting for the red ant to tumble down. The red ant tries to crawl up it, but it slips on the steep slope. It is not going too well. Without being able to reposition itself, it'll only be a matter of time until it sinks to the bottom. I dive into the giant pit, grab the red ant by its back and spread my wings. The antlion larva unburies itself from the sand, extends its neck, and thrusts its mandibles at me. I kick its mandibles as hard as I can and use the force from it to jump out of the giant pit. Gah, now the sole of my foot is sore. An injury like this will probably be completely healed soon by automatic HP recovery, but I'll use rest anyways to increase my skill level. The wound instantly closes up. I fly away at a low altitude and escape from the antlion larva. I then land and place the red ant on the ground. Phew, I'm glad that went well. Raising my head, I can see the red ant's nest way out in the distance. Looks like we are not going to need an escort anymore. When I release my hand from the red ant, it runs away from me at full speed. Level of title skilled Tiny Hero has increased from LV5 to 6. This can still go up? What? Have I been leaving a big enough impression on the karma algorithm up until now? A good omen before my evolution. From now on, I'll do my best to help monsters. The red ant stops midway and looks back towards me. Yes? What's the matter? Perchance? Don't tell me it's going to leave the centipede dumpling behind after all? Cutcha! The red ant cries and bows its head slightly. It once again changes its direction and heads straight for the red ant's nest. Man, I feel awfully guilty. I'm sorry, voice of God, could you please lower the skill level that raised just now? I don't think I deserve it. Level of title skill liar has increased from LV2 to 3. No, that's not true. Kuh. 183 1 long queue. After making sure that the ant safely returns to the nest, I return to meet back up with the ball rabbit and Adofu. After meeting up, I notice that there is a strange bluish-green liquid coating ball rabbit's mouth. Once again, I guess it defeated and ate some weird monster somewhere. Since its HP hasn't decreased, whatever it wasn't too strange. After that, we roam around the outskirts of the red ant's nest, eventually coming across a spot with a big cactus. It has already gotten very late. Making my base here, I decide to rest my body while keeping my eye on the red ant's nest. From here, I'm able to see the state of the red ant's nest by simply flying above it. Depending on whether or not the centipede dumpling plan is a success, whatever move I make next could radically differ. If I can't level myself by using the red ants, then catching up with the hero's stats in just a few days will be impossible. If that happens, it'll be bad for Adolfo. We'll end up with no other choice but to shift the plan to saving Nina instead and quickly making an escape. If that happens, then it's unlikely that I'll be able to afford to save any of Adolfo's relatives. However, initiating the plan where I level with the red ants means a red ant massacre. The image of the red ant lowering its head to me is still lingering in my mind. I shake my head, dismissing the image of the red ant that appeared in my head. I must do this. I must have determination. I slap myself on the cheeks with both hands in order to fire myself up. My claws pierce into my cheeks a bit and they hurt a little now. The ball rabbit stares at me, narrowing its eyes. Hey, red ants, sorry about this. Forgive me, please don't hold any grudges. However, even if it's only in my head, allow me to apologize. I periodically fly up into the air to survey the red ant's nest. 15 red ants come out from the nest and split up into 3 groups of 5, each going in their own separate direction. I see several more groups come out, doing the same thing. Although I've already known about it, the red ants' management abilities are extensive. I don't think there's any point in the red ants acting in groups of more than 5 members, especially in this desert. Other than the giant centipede, I haven't seen any other B-ranked monster in this desert. In the case of C-ranked monsters, 5 red ants should be enough to break through any of them. That much is very clear from Big Scissor Senpai's case. Conversely, in the case of the giant centipede standoff, 5 or 10 red ants were not enough. The red ants couldn't escape from the giant centipede, and that giant centipede's carapace was impossible for them to break through. Even I had to utilize the centipede's heat ray to get through its carapace and cut its pointlessly long body in half. It doesn't seem like the red ants would be able to pull off such a feat. If you're outside and see the giant centipede, you're pretty much dead if it decides to lock onto you. Is it because of such a thought that the red ants are still alive? Maybe confronting a giant centipede-class monster with only a 5-bodied unit reduces the total risk of annihilation of the colony? It's a little heart-wrenching if you think about. Are they acting on instinct or is there something at the top? If they're acting on instinct, they won't be as effective since it'll be possible to take advantage of their habitual behavior. On the other hand, it'll be troublesome if the red ants are receiving commands from a leader. If I'm unlucky and there's someone on top, then there's a possibility that they'll stop the centipede dumplings from being carried in. I can't say for sure that there is someone controlling them from above due to the situational adaptability they showed when I entered their nest. So what is it? As I continue observing the nest, I see the red ants carry a variety of things into it. A huge mantis-like monster, a cactus. A mantis, I haven't seen that before. Although it doesn't seem like it would taste too good, I wonder how many experience points it gives? It seems like cactuses are valuable sources of water out here after all, they're carrying in several of them. One by one, 3 ants are each holding a head of the camel. Is that perhaps the mortar camel? If so, then where did its body go? How do I put it, somehow, seeing it like this, it's surreal. That 3-headed camel, isn't this a cruel sight to behold? No, each individual head is from the same body. The species is a hot commodity. There's an amagarashi that's still breathing that's being led to its slaughter. With the red ants overpowering it, it frantically squirms around. Why are they waiting to kill it? At least kill it sometime soon. The poor thing looks so miserable. Following the red ants that are carrying the amagarashi, there are red ants carrying some plants. It's the plant that grows in that one swampy marsh. There are 4 red ants carrying the amagarashi and 3 ants carrying some plants. I wonder, did 2 groups join together? Because if so, there should be 3 more ants, but I don't see them. I can't imagine a situation where the red ants get killed by an amagarashi. Although it does seem like there's room for the possibility. Especially considering this scene where they're carrying it back alive. Well, even if I can imagine such a situation, there's nothing that I can do about it now. However, back to the scene that I'm looking at right now. As expected, the number of red ants numbers 100, at most, maybe about 200? Though because the nest is underground, I don't know how large the scope of it is. I don't know if there's something standing guard inside either. While pondering the situation, the sun begins to peek out from over the horizon. Is the night over already? Since the day before yesterday was when I was attacked by the hero, the scheduled date will be the day after tomorrow. I want to evolve before today is over. Hurry up! When is a second red ant going to hurry up and appear so that it can carry back a centipede dumpling already? That red ant that had carried that centipede dumpling back to its nest. There's the possibility that the centipede dumpling was largely unpopular amongst the other red ants. Maybe after reporting back that there were a lot of them, it got dismissed and ridiculed as a fool when it was seen that it was alone. Perhaps the red ant even ate it as a test and collapsed because of the poison. I went through a lot of trouble to guide the first one. Should I have had it grab one without any poison in it? Because I kept referring to extermination methods for ants from my previous life, I couldn't get out of this fixed impression that I currently have about ants. Maybe I should have come up with more ideas from there. Thinking that I had failed, my head starts to get hot. After I get up off the ground, my thoughts start troubling me. Those red ants may just be ants, however I think that they have a reasonable amount of intelligence. They seem to understand how to fight in numbers, and that one ant seemed to express gratitude toward me when I helped it. Their intelligence is on par with an animal. An ant has to experience intense hardships after all.
Phew.
The ball rabbit anxiously looks up at me.
Guh.
This is bad, ball rabbit. I might have done it now.
What should I do?
After Adolfo cooperated with me in the hope of saving his relatives, I feel bad.
How should I explain this?
The ball rabbit is stroking my tail with its ear.
Is it encouraging me?
Yeah, not yet, it's too early for me to be giving up. Fortunately, thanks to me having observed the red ants all night, I've more or less grasped their habits. I'll have Adolfo and the ball rabbit pair up a little bit closer from here and have them keep watch over the red ant's nest. I'll have them keep track of how many red ants leave the nest and have them check in what direction the ants go in. I'll occasionally return back to this base to have the general locations of the red ants relayed to me. I'll use that information to go to where the threat of multiple groups of red ants converging is the lowest and continue repeating the extermination. If all goes well, I may be able to hunt as many as 20 red ants in a single day. If I evolve, it could potentially open up some good paths for me. Alright, with this plan. While thinking about that, I look up and see a long red line above the desert sand.
Huh? That?
Ooh, are those red ants?
Why are they moving in such numbers?
Up until now, they've only ever composed themselves into groups of 5. After thinking up to that point, I realize it. The long line of red ants are heading towards the direction of the pile of centipede dumplings. The red ants intend to gather up every single centipede dumpling. 184 invade. A long line of red ants are returning to the nest. Each one of them is carrying a centipede dumpling in its mouth. Success! It succeeded! Phew. The ball rabbit is jubilant over the matter, but I can't share the same sentiment. Seeing my current state, the ball rabbit drops its ears and looks up at me uneasily. Although I was wondering what would happen if it failed, now that it has succeeded, I don't really know if that was okay. I wonder if there was another card I could have played. There is undoubtedly the red ant I saved from the antlion larva mixed among that row. It must have been praised as a hero among its friends after finding that mountain of centipede dumplings.
Undoubtedly right. You did it, well done. What this?
No, this was just something I happened upon when Mr.
Dragon took me.
Just a coincidence, really. That was probably quite the conversation. The figure of the giddy red ant floats in my mind. Thinking about it is only making me feel bad, so I shake my head to erase the thought. There was a red ant in the back not carrying anything in its mouth. It seems that the number of red ants exceeded the amount of dumplings. Considering that the red ants had split to defend the nest while the others headed out of the nest, the number of red ants is roughly 200, I guess. After that, I watched the red ants nest for a while. The number of red ants coming and going from the nest gradually decreases. At first it was only occasionally, but halfway through, the amount drastically decreased. Are the centipede dumplings' effects starting to show? If they die due to the poison, then the experience points may not be attributed to me. The purpose of the centipede dumplings is to severely weaken the red ants down to their last breath. Should I quietly check out the situation? I approach the red ant's nest. The ball rabbit and Adolfo follow along behind me. I peer into the large, bright red hole while focusing on using presence sense. 2 red ants come out from inside.
Cool, gotcha. Kuka.
The red ants raise their voices when they find me. One of them comes towards me while the other runs back to the nest. The guard and report staff? However, they are moving slower than last time. Besides, it doesn't really feel like they're into it. Race, red ogre ant. State, poison, paralysis, small. LV 2555. HP 127/230.
Mepe, 6471.
Race, Red Ogre Ant. State, Poison Small. LV 2755. HP 199/239.
Mepe, 4975.
It's the poison. The poison is beginning to show its effects. One of them even has paralysis. Is it due to Poison Claw? But it's not as much damage as I expected? This is bad, I don't like this situation. It's likely that the red ants which didn't receive much damage will take the initiative and go hunting. What's more, the two in front of me have pretty good stats. Not only that, the one facing me is the one without paralysis. Though their HP might be on the safe side, their physical abilities have been considerably weakened. I'm still a little uneasy, but now is a great opportunity to attack. I will greet the approaching red ant with Kamaitashi. Although I didn't use a feint, the red ant wasn't able to avoid it. I unleash a blade of wind and score a direct hit, and before its self-regeneration kicks in, I move in. Can they not avoid the attacks? I don't need to use my MP anymore if that's the case. I fold my wings and lower my posture, taking up a stance to ready for hand-to-hand combat. It comes into range, so I jump at it. The red ant extends its neck and readies its pincers.
Kukuha.
I lightly jump and fly over the red ant before falling and smashing the red ant's head against the ground. Body fluid splashes around, and the red ant stops moving shortly after. As I thought, its abilities have considerably weakened. 388 experience points obtained. Title skill Walking Egg, LV, activated, 388 bonus points gained. Level of Evil Plague Dragon has increased from LV 62 to 63. Has the amount of experience points decreased? Just as I thought, since they've already been weakened by poison outside of battle, the amount of points has been reduced? It's somewhere between 20 or 30. The error margin, that is. This sucks, I can't afford that much of a drop this time. Should I just plunge into the red ant's nest like this? I'm LV 63 now, and the max for an Evil Plague Dragon is LV 75, so I still need 12 levels till evolution? That's probably about 20 red ants. I'll jump into the nest and rampage, then withdraw as soon as I reach max level. If I were to evolve inside, I could be temporarily weakened due to the change in level. And there is still the possibility that I will have to get used to my new body. Also, if I happen to grow, I might not be able to fit in the passageway, and I'll have no other choice but to live there. If it's that voice of God, I don't doubt that there will be a trap like that. I lower my head to the now dead red ant smashed into the ground, then turn and face the entrance to the red ant's nest. Well, Ball Rabbit and Adofu, will you be doing the usual house sitting? Goo. I turn to the Ball Rabbit and bark, and the Ball Rabbit shakes its head.
Pefew.
No.
Team.
No, isn't it a bit too dangerous? Dark there.
Hard to see.
Well, sure it is, but I'll manage somehow with present sense one way or another.
Save Nina. So can't die?
If you go that far, then I guess it can't be helped. Alright, let's do this, shall we? The Ball Rabbit's light should be useful in navigating the red ant's nest. Actually, let me join in as well. Adofu pulls out the large sword from its sheath and stabs it into the ground. It seems that the Ball Rabbit's telepathy also reached Adofu. Adofu? Frankly, your strength isn't that much different from the red ants. I wonder if you will even be able to handle 2 red ants. He's smaller than me, though, so it'll be easier for him to move around in the narrow passage. Adofu useless. Hey. Just a minute. Don't say such false words. No, I never said he was useless. But really, it'll be pretty dangerous if 3 red ants attack Adofu at the same time.
Kuh.
185, one long passageway. I place the Ball Rabbit on top of my head and move forward while checking the general vicinity with present sense. The inside of the red ant's nest is dark as usual, but the Ball Rabbit uses its light, a skill, and makes 3 little will-o'-the-wisps float about, which gives us a decent enough amount of illumination to see. The little will-o'-the-wisps occasionally bump into my head, but I don't mind it. Anyhow, the walls are bright red. The further we go in, the further my anxiety is stirred. Was this wall specially made with the red ant's clay? When I lightly poke at the wall with my claw, the wall doesn't crack or even give way. We're gonna be in trouble if this collapses easily.
However, where are the red ants?
I have not yet seen a single red ant anywhere in here. There were 2 weakened ants at the entrance, but I thought that the inside of the nest would be swarming with more. Without encountering any red ants, we reach a point in the passageway where it branches off into 3 directions. It seems that these passageways are becoming increasingly complicated. Could this mean that if we stir up trouble in one passage, the ants will escape through another? It seems that since they've resigned themselves from fighting as they've not shown themselves yet. The fact of the matter is that since the path ahead branches out, it'll be easy for the red ants to escape from me since they have a territorial advantage. They probably have multiple exits prepared as well. For now, the ball rabbit, Adolfo, and I each face a different passageway. Let's see each other again, alive. I joke to myself like it's some passionate delusion, but that's not the plan. There's no merit in splitting up our fighting potential right now. I stick my head into the passageway on the right and look inside. I cannot see anything within my field of vision, and in particular, there is also a distinct lack of sound. Concentrating magical power in my throat, I extend my neck forward, narrow my lips, and blow out magical power to use whistle. Pupai. The whistle echoes throughout the otherwise silent red passageway. Listening carefully, I feel like I can just barely hear something that sounds like footsteps mixed with the sound of the echoing whistle. I'm stuck trying to come to a conclusion as to whether or not it was just my imagination. Well, I didn't expect much of its effectiveness anyways. It's somewhat successful to a degree. I can't believe I'm getting hung up by such a thing. Shall we quickly get going? Level of normal skill whistle has increased from LV1 to 2. Even if this increases, it doesn't seem like it's going to do much good. Well, perhaps the distance that the sound reaches extends? I appreciate it a little bit. Anyways, it's good, you know? If my whistling improves, I may be able to use it to kill some time or use it as a neat little trick, but neither of those are really necessary. Are you going down that path? Adolfo is calling out to me. I look back towards Adolfo, shake my head to indicate no, and return back to the passageway. After that, I stick my head into the passageway in the middle. Finally, I stick my head into the passageway on the left. The middle, left, and right passageways are all the same. No signs or sounds of anything. Well then, I guess I'll just take the left side. Gua! I turn my head towards Adolfo and give a low cry and then proceed down the passageway on the left side. Once my body is completely inside the passageway, Adolfo follows after me. Why did I pick the left passageway? There's no particular reason. But I just think that the red ants will misunderstand my whistling and think that I will be coming down the right passageway, so I took the opposite side to screw with their expectations. Even though I know it doesn't make much sense, it's of little importance. The red ants would do well to escape down this passageway, or so I thought, but there's no sign of them at all. Did I make a mistake? Should we return at once? As I'm thinking, the passageway I exit once again branches out into 3 more. How big is the red ant's nest? Going through the whole routine every time I come across a fork in the path is going to get tiresome, so let's just keep going as is. As I continue advancing forward while keeping watch with present sense, I gradually become more and more impatient. Why is this place so empty? Where exactly did that red ant return back to? As we still continue advancing forward, I sense something behind us. Are its instincts encouraging it to stay near the center of the nest? If that's so, then it won't come for us. As I expected, I sense the presence of multiple ants up ahead. Rather than escaping, it seems like they intend to overwhelm me with their numbers. Them doing it this way is very convenient for me. I can round them all up and raise my level to its maximum instantly. Though, that depends on the degree to which the red ants have been weakened. This passageway is narrow. This large body of mine is making it hard to move through here. However, at the same time, the number of ants that can pounce me at once is limited by the confined space. I simply don't know whether the width of this passageway will work positively in my favor or negatively against me.
Kacha! 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 Kuka!
The red ants cry as the sound of their footsteps draws near. There is quite a large number of them. As for me, I want to quickly raise my level up to its maximum and then retreat. Though escaping will likely not be easy. Should I just smash into them directly, or would it be better to flank them from the sides? What's this? Present sense seems to be glued to a strange spot. It's reacting to something on the other side of the wall. Feeling suspicious, I turn to the wall and try roaring. Go! The red wall melts away, immediately revealing a sea of red ants on the other side of it. It appears that the red ants intended to greet me with an attack here. It also seems that they used clay to modify the wall and concealed themselves behind it. At the same time, a large swarm of red ants come from both the front and rear of the passageway. I've been deceived. In just an instant, we are now completely surrounded by red ants.
Kacha. Kuka.
Just as I thought, these guys operate on more than just instinct. It's clear that they must have a commander. For this to happen without one is unimaginable otherwise. This amount of ants, even though they've been weakened with poison, should I expect this to be hard? Nah, now's not the time to feel timid. The only time I have to be timid is when escape becomes my only option. I can't become pessimistic now. Guo. It's good to take on this many at once. I'll beat all of you down and turn you all into experience points.
Kuh.
186 Big Tumultuous Battle. I can see that there are more than 80 red ants just from roughly looking around the area. You know, your total fighting force is just too much, red ants. I quickly take a deep breath. As I do so, Adolfo rolls and falls back underneath me. That's some good judgment. If Adolfo didn't move quickly, then this preemptive strike would have probably failed. Bringing my neck and body around, I breathe out, scorching breath, and let loose a torrent of flames in all directions. The red ants, far from pulling back, instead jump right into my flames as if that's their signal.
Kacha. Kacha. Kuka.
I fight back while using my claws, tail, and wings to their fullest. The poison has made the red ants' movement sluggish enough to make it possible to deal with them. But even though it's possible, it's still very difficult. To start with, red ants are tougher when compared to other C-ranked monsters due to their auto-regeneration skill. Even if I knock them to the ground with a single strike from my claws, they just get back up and go back to snapping at me. There aren't many other monsters who would do that. I can't reliably direct enough attention to any one single ant to finish them off. If I let up with my claws, tail, and wings even once, I'm going to be attacked severely. They're rushing at me without end. Any red ant that gets damaged quickly falls back and immediately gets replaced by more ants waiting in the back. All that while the retreating red ants use auto-regeneration to repair their wounds. Thanks to the number of opponents, I can hardly hit any of them with a finishing blow.
Kuka.
Suddenly, a red ant that I thought had retreated after being dealt a heavy blow, instead vigorously bites into my arm. The red ant figured out when my attention would be diverted from it and managed to land a precise hit on me through a gap in my defenses. The red ant wants to use this chance to throw me off so that the rest of them can rush in and take me down.
Go!
While the red ant is still biting into my arm, I encase my surroundings with the flames from scorching breath. I slam the red ant on my arm against the ground, and I'm finally able to kill one of them. This took longer than before. Obtain 360 experience points. Title skill Walking Egg LV- activated, 360 bonus points obtained. If I can't escape after accumulating enough experience points, then I'll have to evolve inside the nest. Adolfo is standing at my feet and slicing at red ants with his large sword. Though he's mostly only using himself as a distraction, he's effectively reducing the number of ants focusing on me. I appreciate it very much. However, because of where he is standing, Adolfo is always in my blind spot. Because of that, I'm worried that if I turn my head to fire off a breath attack or start moving suddenly, I'll accidentally hit him. Excuse me for a bit. Adolfo suddenly climbs up my tail and from there leaps onto my shoulder. He defends against a red ant that attacked me, compensating for my own mistake. Oh, my bad. You saved me there. After Adolfo repels a red ant, I skewer it with my claws and slam it against the wall. Obtained 403 experience points. Title skill Walking Egg LV- activated, 403 bonus points obtained. Level of Evil Plague Dragon has increased from 63 to 64. Alright, my level's gone up. It's going to be a little tough, but at this rate I'm likely to raise myself by 10 more levels all in this one fight. Phew! Ahead. Back turn around. Listening to the ball rabbit's telepathy, I quickly spin around and strike a red ant that leaps at me, letting it fall. I try to pursue it and cut it down, but once again, red ants are leaping at me from both the left and right side, so I focus my attention toward them instead. I send the ants on my sides flying with a quick gust from my wings and shift my attention towards the front again. The red ant I just struck down is no longer there, and once again, another ant has taken its place, readying its body to leap at me. Is this hell? I was too naive. Even though the poison weakened the red ants, it didn't create enough of a gap between our physical abilities for me to push back this wave. For a moment, the red ants' rush stopped. I'm relieved to have even just an extra second of time. It gives me time to relax. The next moment, the red ants join together and with perfect timing simultaneously attack me from all directions. Completely trusting my back to Adolfo, I turn around to the red ants coming toward me from the front and strike them repeatedly with Kemaitashi. After that, I take a step forward, and since the wave of ants in front of me can't stop since they are being pushed from behind, I shoot a blade of wind directly into them. After somehow enduring the difficulty from the ants that came from in front, I quickly look behind me. I don't think Adolfo is able to deal with all the red ants from the rear. Sure enough, some red ants are able to slip through and are about to jump me. There are 5 of them. I prioritize mitigating any damage to me and launch Dragon Punch repeatedly at them as an uppercut. For the last remaining one, I ram into it with a headbutt.
Kacha! Kuche! Kacha!
The red ants cry out. The ground beneath me melts and swallows up my feet. Once again, with impeccable timing, they simultaneously attack using clay to alter the passageway. They opted for a 2-stage attack. I try to pull my foot out with all of my strength, but it doesn't budge. Naturally, the red ants don't miss this opportunity. They again crowd around me.
Kuka! Kuka!
The red ants cry out again. This time, the ceiling deforms and a red needle starts to grow out of it towards me. What the hell? These guys have far too much technique. The clay below me is trapping my feet and the clay above me is now a needle. And finally, a swarm of red ants are heading toward me. This is just bad in general. The worst is that I can't free my foot. Is this the end? This is bad, but I swore revenge on Irussia for my relatives. He is a man whom I must not let live. Adolfo says this before rushing into the swarm of red ants. And like that, he pushes his way through the red ants. While parrying off the red ants' attacks with his large sword, he continues advancing forcibly.
What is this?
Are you fleeing? But no, this is not a place that you can forcibly break through. You'll absolutely get lynched on the way and it'll be all over for you. Adolfo swings his large sword and slashes a red ant that's in his way. But before he can finish, a red ant that's in Adolfo's blind spot tackles him to the ground. Adolfo swiftly recovers and takes on a defensive posture. The surrounding red ants are glaring at him while readying themselves.
Decoy!
When Adolfo chants the magic skill, a red ant that is just about to leap at me suddenly stops in its tracks.
Kuh!
187 collapse. All at once, the red ants take their sights off of me and turn to face Adolfo. Even though they went through the trouble of hardening the ground beneath my feet to stop me from moving and restructured the ceiling to make it into a weapon, the red ants still straight up abandoned their best chance at killing me. It's as likely the effect of the magic skill decoy that Adolfo just chanted. It seems to have the power to attract attention to oneself. Thinking back to when we first met, when I was preoccupied with Adolfo, I couldn't feel the presence of the hero approaching from behind me at all. I thought that was the effect of the hero's stealth step and mirage skills, but it seems that wasn't the only thing. Adolfo must have used decoy back then beforehand.
Kuka!
Adolfo tries to fight back, but gets surrounded to an unreasonable degree. A red ant in front catches Adolfo's large sword in its mouth, stopping his attack. Another red ant from behind uses the opportunity and bites down into his shoulder. Adolfo is then pulled down on the spot as is. For Adolfo to throw himself into that mountain of red ants, the enemy probably didn't expect it to. In order to buy me time so that I could break out of this clay that's restraining me, he put his life on the line as a decoy. I hurriedly try to escape from the clay, but I can't pull my feet free. Even though I knew that it wouldn't work, I still hate that I can't pull my feet out. When I try lifting my feet with all my strength, the ground gives a slightly gruff creak, but that's it. Not even a crack appears. It seems like the more I hurry, the more time I waste doing nothing. I'm struck with a feeling of powerlessness. Break, damn it, break. Why won't you break? Of course, the red ant's attack isn't over with him just being pulled down. Despite being defenseless, Adolfo's doing a good job at not getting crushed. Once again, the red ants gather together and begin piling themselves on top of Adolfo.
Guga!
With all my strength, I stab my fangs into the ground. I feel the impact reverberate throughout my head, and at the same time I feel the ground starting to crack. Again, I stab my fangs into the ground. I knock out 3 of my fangs. My fangs got pulled out and my mouth is dripping with blood. However, a crack finally appeared. I kick out of the ground with all of my strength. The crack enlarges and the ground disintegrates, releasing my feet.
Kacha? K kacha.
Hearing the sound of me getting out and returning, some of the red ants look back at me. Jumping up into the air, I bring my head back and swing it forward hard enough to send the ball rabbit flying off of it.
Pifu.
Curling up my body while extending my neck, I open my large mouth and catch the ball rabbit within it. From there, I switch over to roll. Sorry, ball rabbit. I had no choice but to use roll. The ball rabbit's light vanishes and the surroundings become completely dark. However, I've got the gist of my surroundings and the red ants' locations. Now to go and retrieve a tofu from under the pile of red ants? No, even if I attack, will I be able to topple that mountain of red ants? Besides, I'm certain that just a few moments ago a number of red ants started to look back at me again. Even if I jump in and help a tofu, it's clear that the other red ants will obstruct my efforts. Well, if these are the stakes, then I guess I'll just have to take a gamble on this one. I direct my momentum vertically to the direction I was traveling to a tofu and head straight for the wall. Because of the darkness, I don't have a very good grasp of the distance between me and the wall, but I still accelerate with all I've got and continue heading straight toward it. My back slams into the wall. It feels like my body is being crushed. With a supreme thud, the sound reverberates and the surrounding passageway shakes. I wonder if the thud caused the red ants' struggle to stop?
Kacha?
From within the darkness of the nest, a lone red ant's cry echoes throughout it. The bustling sound of the red ants that had been going on up until a moment ago suddenly stops, making the singular cry of the red ant seem that much louder. Then, a part of the ceiling in the passageway breaks away and falls down. Although it's only a part of the ceiling, it's a solid chunk of sand made up of the red ant's hardened clay. Depending on where it lands, it has the potential to deal a lot of damage. As the ceiling collapses, lumps of dirt and stone also fall.
Kacha. Kuka. Kuka.
Understanding what the sound means, the red ants disperse. For now, I'm glad that it's went well. Because the red ants had altered the walls to hide in them, the ceiling's support for the passageway had become unstable. Furthermore, because a part of the ceiling had been reshaped into a spike, there's now a structural weakness. On top of that, because I added a big shock there, the warped section had to bear even more weight, weakening the supports and causing the ceiling to begin collapsing. A boulder falls from overhead and grazes my shoulder. That was dangerous, it could have done some serious damage if it hit me. For now, I want some light. I spit out the ball rabbit with a betug and catch it on my head. The ball rabbit, now soaked in my saliva, quickly sticks to my head. Although it seems like it wants to give its harsh opinion, it instead stays silent and uses light. I crouch, bend down and run through the passageway. I head toward a tofu while avoiding both the falling debris and the red ants trying to escape. The red ants seem to be trying to escape from here, but one of the red ants still has its sights set on me and throws themselves at me.
Kuka.
I swing my claws around and gouge the red ant. Whether it was because it crashed into a falling object, got weakened by poison, or had taken damage during battle, the red ant stopped moving after only that single blow. Obtained for 32 experience points. Title skill Walking Egg, LV, activated, 432 bonus points obtained. Level of Evil Plague Dragon has increased from 64 to 65. My level went up again. My level sure does rise quickly, but then I think about all the danger I had to put myself through. Well, even if I were to go back in time, I would do the same. Adolfo's limp, bloodied body falls to the ground. The red ants that had gathered around him already dispersed after being surprised by the collapse. Adolfo's mouth moves, giving me relief that he's still alive. But that relief is momentary. A large chunk of clay is falling down toward Adolfo. I throw myself toward Adolfo and defend against the falling chunk of earth with my back. The chunk of clay crumbles as it impacts my back. I somehow manage to make it in time. I lower my head, stick out my tongue, and retrieve Adolfo into my mouth. After that, I start to run away together with the red ants. The areas around the passageway where the red ants tampered with the walls will collapse as is. I have to escape to somewhere safe.
Kuha.
188 Ant Captain. I run straight, avoiding as many falling rocks as possible. But because it's such a narrow passage, I can't really move much to the left or to the right. It gives me no choice but to slow down in order to avoid it. Everything I couldn't avoid I smacked with my tail. I thought of using roll, but then the light coming from light would be gone. It would be suicidal to blind myself while this narrow passage is collapsing. Also, if the red ants decide to block my way using clay, then my movement will be even more restricted. As I pass by a red ant, I trample down on it with my forefoot, piercing its back with my claw. Splat! 448 experience points obtained. Title skill Walking Egg, LV, activated, 448 bonus points obtained. LV of Evil Plague Dragon increased from 65 to 66. Since the red ants are focusing on escaping from the collapsing passage, it was easy to land an attack on its defenseless back. Although, if the passage is blocked by the collapse, I could tell that a battle against all those red ants will begin. Even though it's somewhat impossible, I have to reduce the number of red ants.
Kuka.
Kajia. Wielding and waving around my claw, I smash against the ground underneath me, killing any red ants that happen to be there. From LV66 to LV67 to LV68 to LV69, it keeps going up. Although I'm in serious danger of being buried alive, the ant extermination is bringing me much needed experience. My evolution is also quickly approaching, and my stats have also gone up with it. I thought that it would turn out to be a difficult fight with Adofa knocked out, but this is actually turning out pretty well. As a plus, when the collapse began, more than half of the ants fled in the opposite direction of where I was going. Also, since there are red ants being buried by the lumps of stone and soil, the number of red ants I have to deal with has been drastically reduced. There's a big red ant standing in front of the bend in the passage. It's looking straight at me without even a glance at its running companions. If I pass that corner, I should be out of the collapsing zone. From then onwards, my fight with the red ants begins again, so I can't afford to be distracted. A red ant stops before the big red ant. Kacha! The red ant who stopped calls out. If you don't run away, you will be buried where you stand. The big red ant still doesn't move. The red ant who spoke seemed to give up trying to persuade the big one, swaying its head a little, stopping its feet, and turns to face me.
Kacha!
This time, the big red ant spoke out. Just like with the big one, the other ant does not respond to the cry. I feel like the big ant smiled. I'm not the kind to do such terrible things, though.
Pefyu?
Need translation?
No, it's fine.
But if you're blocking the way like that, it will take me some time to get through. But on their end, it was probably good that only the big red ant and another stopped. If there were more of them, they would have been buried alive. If it's just two, then there's room for me to break through. Race, big red ogre ant. State, normal. LV, 34/55. HP, 264/277.
Mepe, 84/102.
Race, red ogre ant. State, poisoned. LV, 19/55. HP, 131/205.
Mepe, 32/71.
From their status, it's a rookie red ant and the red ant captain? No, I need to shake off these unnecessary thoughts. If my feelings waver, I might be killed. They are aiming for a simultaneous attack in this collapsing passage. In that regard, they have the bigger advantage.
Kacha! Kuka!
The rookie red ant and ant captain fire off clay gun. My sight will be blocked if I guard with my wings. But if I rotate my tail to the front, then my posture would collapse and I will slow down. So will I have to receive the attacks head-on? Damn it, so in other words I will be pierced. Aside from the rookie ant, the captain's clay gun is going to sting. It's impossible to receive that so nonchalantly.
Pefyu! Wings to defend!
You being serious? Once my sight is blocked, they will jump and attack during that gap. The ant captain has considerable speed. Will you be able to handle it in your current state? No, I will believe in the ball rabbit here. The ball rabbit is reading my thoughts. Even after they were read, I was still told to guard with my wings. I cover my front with my wings to block off the clay gun attacks. Oof. It was a strong hit. I took quite a bit of damage from that. I thought that it was going to penetrate. This will hurt a little when I'm flying. But it will be cured anyway after I evolve, so it doesn't mean much.
Pefyu!
Large one jumped. Moving at the sides of wings, aiming for right shoulder.
The other is going for left foot.
Oh. Thank you very much. It seems that telepathy is being used to read their attacks. With this, you won't even need to doubt whether there will be a feint or not. I know the position of the rookie ant by sound. Well, more like it's purposely moving so that it can make noise. probably to make the ant captain's movements difficult to hear so that I will let my guard down. In short, it's a decoy. Being the rookie ant, you may get the worst of the attack. I kick off the ground with my left foot and jump. The rookie ant's pincers just graze me. Did you overdo it? I lower my head and lean forward to avoid hitting the ceiling. I then turn my wings back and wind up my right shoulder.
Gotcha?
The ant captain launches its attack and hits nothing but air. I thrust out the arm I pulled in and pierce the head of the ant captain with my claw. I throw it against the wall and tackle it with all my speed and weight. When I pull out my claws, the ant captain dropped to the ground, landing on its back. 544 experience points obtained. Title skill Walking Egg, LV, activated, 544 bonus points obtained. LV of Evil Plague Dragon increased from 69 to 70. Now, just 5 more?
Kachwa!
The rookie ant cries out, chasing after my back. I send a Kamaitashi at the ceiling over the rookie red ant. A lump of red sand came down, shielding me from the rookie red ant. I thought I heard a snap on the other side. And finally, the collapsing aisle stopped. 273 experience points obtained. Title skill Walking Egg, LV, activated, 273 bonus points obtained. Somehow, I was left with a bad taste in my mouth, but at least I got out of that predicament for the time being. With a complicated feeling I turned to face to front.
Gotcha! 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 Gotcha!
The amount of red ants that were able to safely escape the collapsing passage number about 20? With this amount, I should be able to gather enough experience points for evolution. The goal is finally in view. 189 escaping battle. The path behind me is blocked due to the passage collapsing. To the front are 20 red ants equivalent to a little rock dragon. It's a situation I would have thought of as insane if I was still in that forest. But if I'm able to break through, then I'll be able to safely get out while accumulating some much-needed experience points. The passage earlier was wider than this one since the ants had heavily modified it. With this, the amount of ants I have to take on at the same time has increased to 5.
Go!
I groan and close my mouth while the red ants keep watch.
Gotcha!
The lead red ant signals the rest and fires off a clay gun. It's a storm of stones. Since there was no fear of accidentally injuring their own like before, they all mercilessly fire off a clay gun. There was no space to move, and I can't shoot them all down with the Kamaitashi. I have no choice but to run through it. I use my arm as a shield to knock down the barrage of stones as I rush towards the red ant's front line. Face, arms, chest, clay gun, projectiles are hitting me all over my body. My head that the ball rabbit is sitting on must be held up at all costs. Though it doesn't hurt as much as before since I leveled up, but the damage is still painful. I forcibly shorten the distance while getting ready to attack the red ants in the front with my claws. Since a tofu is in my mouth, I can't use any breath techniques. So now all I can do is power through with brute force alone. Phew! When the ball rabbit cries out, the pain from my bruises are relieved a little. It seems that the ball rabbit used rest. That was much appreciated. The red ant's physical strength has fallen thanks to the poison. Since I've entered this nest, my level has gone up by 7 levels. Due to the level gap, I should be able to handle these 20 ants somehow. I lift my arm to prepare for a big swing. The red ants, thinking that this was a chance, launch an attack to try to bite me. I turn my arm towards them and swing with as much power as I can. 2 red ants became a sandwich. Fragments of their bodies and limbs are scattered about. 806 experience points obtained. Title skill Walking Egg, LV, activated, 806 bonus points obtained. Level of Evil Plague Dragon increased from 70 to 72. As I thought, a large, full-powered swing was overkill, right? Though they were killed rather quickly, the damage I received before the kill isn't quite to my liking. Dodge to avoid attacks and launch my own attacks with my claws. Shoot down stones with Kamaitashi while receiving attacks with my wings, then lash out with my claws. I ignore the red ants that switch out to use auto-regen. It would be troublesome if they rotate, but I don't have the time to intercept them. Since their MP should be decreasing, they will eventually tire out. I strike a red ant with my claw, killing it. God's voice rings out about gaining experience points as the red ants in the back row step out after I trample the red ant. They are quick to rotate just like I thought. Their formation may actually go well for me. I step in to make this a close-ranged battle. It's hard to move around my arms and it's tougher to attack, but this should be fine.
Phew.
The ball rabbit, who seems to have read my thoughts, faintly barks. It's good that I can transmit my thoughts so easily. I aim for the interval between attacks before flipping my head. The falling ball rabbit stretches its ears and catches onto my fangs before tossing itself inside my mouth. I shut my mouth and start using roll at point blank towards the red ants.
Gotcha?
The red ants spring into action while I'm rolling up on them. Alright, let's do this. The injured red ants from the back that have recovered have also started moving to the front. If the injured red ants get involved, then I'll be able to finish this with ease. In order for the red ants to stop my roll, they cooperate in making walls with clay. But if the red ants are lined up like that, the clay produced by the injured ants won't come out as well as it should, making it worse off for themselves. I guess the red ants are starting to exhaust themselves as I can hear their breathing becoming ragged.
Cooka! Cooka!
The screams of the red ants resonate. The feeling of crushing and repelling while rolling over the red ants is transmitted through my body. 392 experience points obtained. Title skill Walking Egg, LV, activated, 392 bonus points obtained. 376 experience points obtained. Title skill Walking Egg, LV, activated, 376 bonus points obtained. Level of Evil Plague Dragon increased from 72 to 73. 403 experience points obtained. Title skill Walking Egg, LV, activated, 403 bonus points obtained. 415 experience points obtained. Title skill Walking Egg, LV, activated, 415 bonus points obtained. Level of Evil Plague Dragon increased from 73 to 74. The notifications from God's voice don't stop. I'm starting to get sick of all the notifications. Settle down a bit, will you? Title skill Calamity, LV, increased from 5 to 6. Calamity went up. Though I wanted to stop before I evolve, I know it's useless to complain now that I've destroyed the red ant's nest.
Cooka! Cooka! Cooka!
3 red ants in the last row bark at me. A red wall rises up in front of them. Either because it is too fast or because they are short of MP, the wall seems a bit brittle compared to the passage walls. I speed up my rotations and jump towards the wall. The hastily made walls are smashed. I crush the red ants hiding behind it. 392 experience points obtained. Title skill Walking Egg, LV, activated, 392 bonus points obtained. Level of Evil Plague Dragon increased from 74 to 75. Level of Evil Plague Dragon has reached max. Evolution conditions met. Finally, I've reached max level. I keep rolling as is, wanting to get out of the ant's nest. The last red ant tries running, but it gives up along the way.
Kuh.
190 Adolfo's arm. I keep rolling for a while after leaving the red ant's nest, deciding to take some distance from it. There should still be more than half of the red ants left in the nest. There is also the possibility of them pursuing us. My body was thrashed by the red ants' clay gun and bites. Both my wings and tail that I overworked from guarding are in tatters. Adolfo also has serious injuries. For now, I want to go to a place where I can confidently rest at ease. I find a cactus a little ways away from the red ant's nest, so I stop there for the time being and decide to help Adolfo recover. It's on a little hill and it has a nice view. If dangerous monsters come near here, I can immediately spot them. I spit Adolfo and Ball Rabbit onto the ground. Befuel. Ball Rabbit shakes their body. Splashes of saliva slosh off of them. Wow, that's a lot. I wish I had gone close to the sea. Ball Rabbit is better now, but they're strangely smelly when they're dry. I've heard that animals are indifferent to their own smell. I wonder if Ball Rabbit smells about 5 times as bad as I actually do? Ball Rabbit stares at me with their eyes that look like that of a dead fish. And anyway, Adolfo's recovery is more important. Adolfo has injuries all over his body. His right shoulder in particular has been bitten and it's crushed. No, actually, other than his shoulder, his injuries are more shallow than I had thought. Adolfo errands. Species Earth Huma. Status, Prisoner's Seal, Bloodshed, Small, Coma. LV, 49/85. HP, 42/320. Mepe, 14/105. His status is more stable than I thought it'd be. It seems that Ball Rabbit had been using rest multiple times while in my mouth. I breathe a sigh of relief. Good job, Ball Rabbit. Well done. They had to use light, telepathy, and rest today as well. They were frequently using MP. Take it easy and have a good rest now. When I turned to look at Ball Rabbit, they were glaring at me with their eyes half open. Back then, it couldn't be helped. Hey, drop the saliva thing already, will you? I used rest once on myself and then used rest 3 times on Adolfo. With this my MP is almost gone, but Adolfo's HP has recovered a lot. Level of normal skill rest has increased from LV2 to 3. Level of title skilled spirit relief has increased from LV8 to 9. It is very much appreciated to have this happen before my evolution. I'm glad that I can raise my recovery magic. I wonder if the evil plague dragon has an evolution path for that? I gently hold and lift up Adolfo's arm. His shoulder, it's a little strange, isn't it? Is this alright? From what I have seen up till now, only effects like boosting natural healing power can be obtained from basic recovery magic. In short, even though the injury is closed up, the damaged part does not regrow. There is the possibility that he will have to live with the after effects of the damage. In regards to Adolfo's right shoulder, the red ants bit off a large amount of flesh. For the time being, it appears to still be attached. I don't know how well it will move in the future. Even if the false charges are cleared up, Adolfo may no longer be able to wield a sword for a living.
Phew.
Ball Rabbit looks up at me while dropping its ears. They seem to be worried about Adolfo's arm as well. Gjord. A few minutes later, with help from my recovery magic, Adolfo wakes up. He sits up with an exhausted look eyes.
I'm still alive.
He sighs and mutters. Since that time when the hero had stabbed him in the back, he seemed undoubtedly prepared to die. When the red ants flocked after him, I thought that he for sure would die. Once again, it seems that you've saved my life.
Goo.
And no, I should be the one saying thank you. That time when the ground beneath my feet collapsed, Adolfo had acted as a decoy to give me time to break free. If that had not happened, I think the red ants would have surrounded and killed me. Adolfo looks around restlessly at his surroundings. He appears to be searching for something. I wonder if he wants to drink water? If that's the case, I will immediately go cut up the cactus.
Phew.
Lash Svot. As one would expect of Ball Rabbit, good guess. Adolfo wants to retrieve his large sword. I spit out the large sword in its sheath. For a moment, Adolfo becomes serious.
Oh, sorry.
Adolfo staggers while standing up, hesitates for a moment, and then lifts his large sword with his right arm. What was that pause just now? Was it because of my saliva? However, even though his shoulder had been struck by red ants, he's able to perfectly lift the large sword with his right hand. I wonder if his condition is okay? Adolfo lifts his large sword up over his head using only his right hand. The arm being held up high trembles. Adolfo's hand slips and the large sword falls to the ground. While crouching, he returns his large sword to its sheath and sits down slowly. He then slowly shakes his head. However, he does not look discouraged. Adolfo had surely realized it when he had gotten up. His dominant arm has become useless. I no longer care about serving that country anymore. Even if I have such a sword, it might as well be useless. But I would give my life just to strike that man once with my sword. He says sadly. The heavy silence continues. Ball Rabbit, who can read Adolfo's mind, dejectedly folds its ears. I too do not know how to restore him. Is it fine if I entrust you with my revenge? Did he figure out that I feel bad about his loss?
Wow. Phew.
Leave it to me. The Ball Rabbit uses telepathy to communicate to Adolfo and they makes a small smile.